live young ones. These are known as ovoviviparous animals. Let's go to the next slide, please.
Next slide.
Let's go to the next slide. Yes. In this picture, we see the Russell's viper. Normally, snakes and other reptiles give birth to, they lay eggs. However, Russell's viper gives birth to live young ones. These animals, these vertebrates, they produce eggs. However, they don't lay their eggs. These eggs are held in their body, incubated, much like the way the eggs are incubated outside, and live young ones come out. This is not similar to the placental delivery of mammals. So this is ovoviviparous. Now let us come to mammals. We all know mammals give birth to live young ones, and they also suckle their young ones. However, there are two mammals which I have shown in this picture to the right. They are from Australia. They are very unique. The first one, which looks like a duck, which has a beak like duck, is known as the duck-billed platypus. And the other one, which looks like a hedgehog, is an echidna. Both these mammals, they lay eggs. They incubate them, young ones come, and they suckle their young. Why I mentioned these is basically, though there is a rule that reptiles, fishes, and amphibians, they lay eggs, there are exceptions to that rule. And when we say mammals give birth to young ones, there is an exception to that rule. Let us see what is unique in the birds. Can you move to the next slide, please? Next slide. Yeah. The bird in the picture is a shikra, a hunter which is commonly seen throughout India. It's a very agile hunter. It's my favorite bird too. What does it represent? Typically, all the features or uniqueness of the birds this bird represents. So all birds are two-legged, no exceptions to that, and their body is covered in feathers. So there is no other vertebrate body which is covered in feathers. The feathers have got a unique purpose in the life of birds, which we will see later. It is not only for flying, it is for something else also. And all birds lay eggs. That means all birds are oviparous, and there is no exception to this. This is what makes birds unique in terms of their morphology and physiology. Next. Next, please. Yeah. So let us see the lifestyle of birds. Birds live in almost any kind of habitat and environment. There is no place which is restricted or barred for the birds except for the North Pole and South Pole. Rest of the places you find birds in various kinds of temperature conditions and hardships. The bird which is there to my left is a magpie's bustard. It is found in the deserts of Rajasthan, where the summer temperatures go above 45 degrees centigrade. And to the right is the emperor penguin with its chick walking on the ice. It is in the Antarctic Circle. And there the temperatures go minus 47 degrees centigrade. So we are talking about a huge temperature variation of 100 degrees between the deserts of Rajasthan to Antarctic Circle, and the birds are able to thrive. The main reason is the feathers. I mean, when I mentioned that feathers are not just for flying, this is one of the important reasons feathers are there for them. So the feathers provide insulation. It prevents the body heat from escaping, and it prevents the external heat from entering the body. So that's a speciality of birds. Next. Next, please. Yeah. And from the place where birds are found, they are found everywhere. I mean, from the water's edge, living on the water itself by building a platform nest, on the trees, hills, wherever there is an opportunity, birds can survive. So here I have given an example of a mountain cliff. which is very, very precarious. The chances of eggs rolling off, chicks falling off is very high. However, in such difficult environments also, birds have made their home. It's a seabird colony, and the birds which we see there are gannets. It's a seabird. And similarly, we can find birds in the human structures too. We find feral rock pigeons nesting near our homes, and all the electric pylons and telegraphic poles and other man-made structures. We find birds building nests and raising their young ones. So any kind of habitat is of no challenge to birds. So they are omnipresent. Sorry, we have lost the video. Can we have the video, please? Yeah, next one. Next slide, please. Okay, the next is the eating habits of birds. Birds eat variety of foods. They eat grains, flowers, leaves, fruits, nuts, carrion, fish, worms, insects. So anything where they can find nutrients, they seem to thrive on them without any hesitation. That's why they are very successful. So I have given two very extreme examples of a lammer gear, which is to my left. This is called bearded vulture, which is found in the Himalayas. This bird thrives mostly on bones. So when an animal is dead, it waits for the animal's flesh and other parts to be eaten by other scavengers. The remaining bones, this bird takes, flies above, drops them, breaks them, and eats them whole. What they get from them is the nutrients found in the bone marrow and the calcium and other minerals that are found in the bones. This is one extreme. Their digestive system has evolved to take nutrients from even the leftovers of other animals. Now let us move to Africa. By the side of the lion in the front and to its rear, we find two birds. These are hooded vultures. These hooded vultures have evolved a digestive system that they can eat the lion's scat or the droppings and derive nutrition. So this is the kind of extreme, living strategies which the birds use. Next, please. Next, please. Right. So we all know that birds are very beautiful. The colors, their plumages, their displays, they have always captivated our minds. Many of us who follow birds, who have taken to birding, it's because of their beauty. So I have taken two representatives, to represent the beautiful birds which we find in India. Obviously, the undisputed king amongst the male birds is the Indian peacock. It is also a fact that amongst the birds, the males are the most attractive and beautiful. And there is a natural reason also for it, because the male birds have to attract the females for raising a family. So the males are always gifted with the beautiful plumage and colors. However, the female birds are also not left out. What we see on the right-hand side is a greater painted snipe. This is a wader, a resident wader we find amongst the marshes in India. In this particular species, it is a female which is very, very colorful, bright, attractive, and it stands also very bold and tall above the males. The males are usually dull colored and they are very, very submissive. So much to say that when the eggs are laid by the female, it is the male that incubates and does the family raising duties. So this is unique amongst the female birds in India. Next, please. Right. The colors, plumage we talked about, and birds are also excellent songsters. Almost all birds they can vocalize, except for some storks, and some they can make beautiful musical notes also. Apart from calls, they have songs. So I have taken two representative songsters in India. They are amongst the best singers. The one I have taken from the Western Ghats, which is the Malabar whistling thrush. The other one is the white-rumped trama, which is from the Eastern Ghats. Now let us listen to their songs. Can we play Malabar whistling thrush, please? Yeah. Next, can we play the song of White Trump Shama? Sorry, White Trump Shama. Thank you very much. Thank you, songsters. These thrushes, magpie, robins, koels are all excellent songsters. Next, please. Right. Some of the vital statistics of birds we will see. Birds have the highest body temperature. Like for a average human being, it is 37 degrees centigrade. And if our body temperature rises by 1 or 2 degrees centigrade, we will fall sick. However, the minimum body temperature of a bird is about 40 degrees centigrade. And this can go up to even 44 degrees centigrade. Why do they need such high temperatures, body temperatures? It's because of their metabolism. Their metabolism is very high. That's because the flight itself is highly energy demanding. Their digestive system, it digests food very fast. Even their excretory system needs the higher efficiency. It's highly energy demanding. And for those energy demands, they need to eat a lot. That means they have to move around a lot, which means they burn a lot of calories. And to burn a lot of calories, they need high body temperature. That is why their body temperature is very high. So they need to conserve this body temperature. And that's why the feathers. So again, the importance of the feathers beyond flight is for conserving their body temperature for the sake of high metabolism. Next, please. Right. So we also know that birds are excellent flyers. I mean, there is no other vertebrate apart from the bats can match their flying abilities. So they have a lot of records to their credit, and we will see some of the champions. On the picture, what we see to my left is a bar-headed goose. This belongs to the family of ducks and geese. This breeds in Mongolia, which is beyond Himalayas. And every year, this bird undertakes a long migration from Mongolia to a small town, small village in Tirunelveli district, which is known as Puntamgulam. They reside for the winter here and they go back. When they are traveling this distance, they cross Mount Everest also at the height of about 9 kilometers from mid-sea level. So at that such a height, the oxygen levels are very low. However, these birds have managed to extract whatever little oxygen that is available in that space. That's a different topic. Because of their lungs design, they are able to achieve this. Now let us talk about the long distance flyer. To the right is the Arctic tern. This Arctic tern flies from the Arctic Circle to the Antarctic Circle every winter of the Arctic. So it breeds essentially in the Arctic Circle, and once the breeding is over and the season changes to winter, it flies to Antarctic Circle. covering a distance of 20,000 kilometers one way. And once the Antarctic winter starts, it flies back to the Arctic again 20,000 kilometers. That means in a year, it covers 40,000 kilometers up and down. So this is the longest flight ever recorded by a bird. Next. Next, please. Few more flying champions. Let us see. So there is a winter visitor to India, which is called the bar-tailed godwit. This bar-tailed godwit comes from Eastern Europe to India. So this is also a long-distance flyer, but I'm not going to talk about it now. It has a cousin which travels from Alaska to New Zealand every year, and there is a tagged bird which had traveled 11,000 kilometers from Alaska to New Zealand non-stop. In 9.5 days, it has reached. And it has flown over the Pacific. There is no place it can land because it's all over water. And it has not taken water or any food during this epic journey. So by the time this bird reached New Zealand, its body weight was just half of what it started. So this was a tagged bird, so scientists know for sure. And if you want to know more about this bird, you can actually see a video in YouTube. Okay, if you mention bar-tailed godwit flight, you can see this video. So that's the marathon flyer, bar-tailed godwit, non-stop flyer. The next one is living on the wings itself. So the bird which is there in this picture is an alpine swift, a little larger than a house sparrow. This bird flies for 6 months non-stop. It eats while flying, it excretes, it sleeps, and it also mates all in flight. The only time it lands is when it wants to raise their chicks. So these are some of the flying champions. Let's go to the next one. This is the ultimate. There is no other animal in the world which is faster than the bird which we see in this picture. This is a peregrine falcon. It reaches a speed of 390 kilometers per hour on its dive. And it has got an excellent body design, morphological and even physiological, to make this possible. So if a peregrine falcon targets a prey, unless the prey is very, very smart to dodge it, it will be consumed. So let's move to the next one. Let us talk about our relationship with birds. To a lot of people, birds mean excellent food. I mean, the chicken pieces which are kept on the plate is very appetizing and tempting. Humans have domesticated poultry, chicken and ducks from time immemorial. They are all wild birds only, but humans have domesticated for the purpose of food. And bird protein is an excellent source of protein. So it's very popular. So birds mean food also to a large number of people. Next. Right, and we know birds are beautiful, and we have spoken a lot about it, and they are excellent subjects for photographers. Photographers will go to any extent to take a good shot of birds in their habitat, in their displays, and capture some of their excellent behaviors. What we see here is a gentleman who has put himself in a hide, trying to photograph some water birds. So to a photographer, they are excellent subjects. Next. Birds have also inspired the creative minds. Many poetry, stories, fables have been written based on birds. Even children used to be told that the bird which is there in this picture, which is a white star, like babies are dropped by them. This is there in the Indian mythology also. There are a lot of references to birds. So birds are inspirations for creative writers. Next one. Next one, please. Yeah. So birds have also inspired aeronautical designs. very important. And like today, the flight aircraft designs are all based on the birds. So what I have shown here is a simple glider compared with a gull. If you see the wing structure, even the other design, the thrust, drag, lift, weight, all these are the simply the way the birds manage it. So it's a replication of a bird's design, which is there. And similarly, on the right side is a design which is inspired by the common kingfisher. It is used in the bullet train design. When the bullet train travels at 350 kilometers per hour speed, just to penetrate through the air, this kingfisher design is being made, so that the air resistance is less and noise level is less, and the passenger journey is very, very comfortable. So such an arrangement is called biomimicry. So you are basically imitating a living organism in engineering design. Next, please. Right. Here is a group of enthusiastic people who are there out in the I mean, at the foothills of a mountain. These are birding enthusiasts, and for a birding enthusiast, birds are a way to connect with nature. It's an outdoor activity which is very, very what to say, refreshing. You get to see birds, not only birds. You get to understand the nature. You get to understand other living organisms. You get to understand your fellow human beings. You develop a kind of friendship, and it is a very, very healthy pastime and to pursue. And increasingly, people are taking to birding for this main reason. And these people who are there are from the nature club of Rajapalayam, and they do regular birding outings. And it is encouraged that we do, because such people who understand and appreciate and enjoy nature will alone champion the cause of environment, is my belief. Next. Next, please. Right. Well, let us see the contribution of birds to the farmers and the ecosystem. The two birds which I have placed here, one is purple sunbird. This is very commonly seen, and this purple sunbird is nectar eater. While doing so, it also cross-pollinates the flowers. So cross-pollination is always considered better than self-pollination, because you get better strains. So these are excellent pollinators. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah, the birds which are there to my right are the hornbills, the great Indian hornbills. And similar to hornbills, there are many other frugivorous birds which eat fruits. These birds disperse seeds. The seed dispersal, mainly in the forest areas and other places, they are done by the birds. They either through their droppings or through their regurgitated pellets, they drop the seeds all over, which germinate, and the forests are created. So this is one of the services which birds offer to the ecosystem. Next. Right. Let us see some more roles they play as farmers' friends. Today there is a growing tendency towards organic farming. Why is it so? It has been established that pesticides, which are not only expensive, but also they cause a lot of health hazards to the people, because the pesticides, they reside in the grains and fruits, and they don't go off easily. So the consumers eventually get affected by the residual pesticides. So there is a move towards biological control of pests. What is a biological control? Biological control is regulating and managing a pest through another living organism. So how birds do it is what we are going to see. And lastly, pesticides per se, they can't differentiate between good insects and bad insects. So if you spray pesticides in a flower garden, not only the pests will go, but also some beneficial bees will also get destroyed. So let us see how the biological control job is done by birds. Next, please. The screen is not very clear. Can you look at it? The screen is gray and nothing is visible. Can everybody see the screen? Right. Now it's okay. Okay. So birds, even if they are herbivores, they turn insectivorous when they are raising their food. Because the growing chicks, they need a lot of protein. They grow very fast and they need protein. And insects are very good source of protein. And birds also resort to insect protein when they are building reserves for undertaking their long distance migration, because they need to build up fat reserves to undertake migration, and they thrive on their fat reserves during the long journey. Next. Next, please. Let us see some interesting contributors to pest control. The bird which is there in the screen is an Asian brown flycatcher. This is a Himalayan resident which comes down to south, and it goes to various places during the winter migration. This tiny flycatcher, which is the size of a sparrow, house sparrow, or even smaller, it catches about 20,000 insects when it is raising a brood. So 20,000 out by just one bird alone. Next one. This bird is a cinereous tit. It is also a sparrow-sized bird. There is a Bombay Natural History Society data. It says a breeding pair, along with their offsprings, they consume about 150,000 caterpillars and pupae. That's the kind of destruction they do to the harmful caterpillars and pupae, which are potential crop destroyers. So you can imagine like how many pairs of such cinereous tits would eliminate and control the pests without any pesticides. Next one. Next one is a specialist, and they are rodent specialists. Of course, there are many owl types. There are owls which are very small to even the largest eagle owls that we see here. They are all predatory. They are all raptors. They are all nocturnal raptors. They eat variety of foods, and amongst them, they also eat rodents. Rodents means all kinds of rats and mice. So we are going to talk about one special bird here, which is the barn owl. The barn owl is typically a farmer's friend because it's a specialist on eating mice and rats. It is calculated that a barn owl eats 3 rats per day on an average. So let us do some mathematics. If 3 rats in a year means 1,095 rats without any holidays. And it is also established that every 2 rats destroyed suppresses a potential of 880 rats per day. That means these rats will breed, and because we all know rats and mice are prolific breeders, so they breed and they reach maturity faster. Again, they will raise family, and that population will increase. So if you destroy 2 rats, that means 800 rats are potentially removed from the face of the earth, which translates into 481,800 rats per year. That is just one owl we are talking about. So this great service has been recognized, and farmers in many other countries, what they do is they build resting platforms for owls in their fields, and they also provide nest boxes to facilitate owls breeding there. Next one. Yes, birds' droppings are also excellent in nutrition. All the essential nutrients like nitrogen, potash, and phosphates, which plants need, they are found in the birds' droppings, especially the seabird droppings. They are rich in these minerals. So in Chile and Peru, along the coast, there is a fish called anchovies. Many seabirds they feed on them, and for many centuries, these birds have made their droppings in the islands. And in the early 1900s, there was a huge industry where the governments were harvesting these bird droppings, which are known as guanos, and they were commercially selling them. Even in India, in some of the sanctuaries, they have made bird resting places, and the bird droppings in the water is now diverted towards agricultural fields, and there is an increased productivity of crops, which has been noticed. In some countries, what they do is they erect platforms a little away from the seashore, inside the sea, where the birds, seabirds can rest. These seabirds, which take rest on those platforms, they leave their droppings, which dry up, and eventually they are harvested and commercially sold. So this is birds in economy. Next one. Okay, we have said all good things, and we have to talk about their impact as a pest themselves. Okay, birds do raid crops, especially pigeons, partridges, peacocks, and sparrows, and parakeets. They raid standing crops and fruits. However, these are easily manageable hazards. By placing scarecrows or beating drums or making some sounds and noises, these birds can be chased away. So when you compare the benefits which the birds give to the farmers as against a little bit of crop damage which they do, which can also be managed, we can say that the benefits are more than the drawbacks. So there is no doubts that birds are the farmers' best friends. Next one. Right. Now let us talk about the another aspect of the birds. Birds are also excellent scavengers, especially the crows, the raptors, especially vultures amongst them. They clear off decaying carcasses. So decaying carcasses are excellent source of bacteria. So if we allow carcass to rot, the bacteria will spread. So birds, they go and especially these scavengers, they go and destroy them. In the evolution, they have developed excellent digestive juices, and they don't seem to get affected by these bacteria. There is a research which is done. I will share the information. The vultures' face they have tested. They found about 528 types of bacteria, microbes. When they tested the contents of the stomach, they found that only 76 of those bacteria remained. 85% of the bacteria which was there were all destroyed by the digestive system. So you can imagine the power of the bird's digestive system and the amount of clearance of the waste which they do. What you see in this picture is Jorbir, where there is a carcass dump. In Jorbir, the carcasses are cleared by vultures and raptors. The huge eagle which you see is a steppe eagle, and the two white birds that you see in the foreground, they are Egyptian vultures. Next one. Yeah, but all is not well with the vultures. In my early days, 30 years back, I'm talking about, in the cities of Calcutta and Bombay, you can see vultures. The cities itself. Today, 90% of the vulture population is gone. There have been many reasons to it. One can be attributed to the shrinking habitat. But what was found is the vultures were just dying eating carcasses. So it took many years for people to realize what is the cause. The cause seemed to be kidney failure. So why did the kidneys of the vultures fail? When the trail was tracked, it was found that there is a chemical called diclofenac. It's a medicine which is used in veterinary usage. Even there is a human usage too. It's an excellent pain reliever. So when cattle are given this injection by the veterinarians to ease their pains, these medicines they remain in their system. So when such cattle die, especially before the cattle die, there will be more pain. So more such injections would have been given. Eventually, when the inevitable happens, these carcasses will be dumped in those carcass dumps. And when these vultures were feeding on them, their body retained the diclofenac, and which eventually went and destroyed their meat piece, and the vultures died. And this is the situation in most part of the world. So what environmentalists and scientists have done is they have recommended total stop of diclofenac on cattle use. So there are alternatives, pain relievers that are available. Diclofenac is banned, and vulture numbers are showing steady progress. However, an ideal state is not yet reached. Let's go to the next slide, please. Right, birds and aviation industry. Bird hits are very common. So what we see in this picture is a flight trying to take off, and there are a lot of birds. I hope that the flight took off very well. When a bird is or an aircraft hits a bird, there is a severe damage it can do. They not only hit them at the airports, but also when they are flying high above. So on the airports, there is a control mechanism which we have to do. That is keeping the airport surroundings very clean, free from all kinds of trees, no slaughterhouses, so that the birds are not there. However, they are causing significant damages to the airline industry. Next. Next, please. Let us talk about some of the downsides of a bird. So, like for example, birds, they are not bound by any geography. They travel all over. A bird from India can travel to Pakistan. From there, it can go to Iran. It can go to Central Asia, and it can come back also at some time. So when they are visiting various places, they can gather diseases. These diseases, when they come back to the place where they started, or whichever places they halt, they can give it to the local bird population and can transmit to the humans also. So it is always recommended that whenever you handle a bird, please take all kinds of precautions. You should not handle a bird with bare hands. Psittacosis is a disease which is spread by parakeets and domestic birds. And there is something called a bird fancier's lungs also. I mean, these are diseases which is spread from birds to humans. Unfortunately, when you get an infection from a bird, it is very difficult to detect that it has come from a bird. So it is better to be very careful whenever we are dealing with wild birds. Next. Birds and ecosystem. This is very important. Like we have talked about their contribution to the ecosystem. Birds are known as a sentinel species. So they are part of the food chain. And if you see a diverse bird population and in good numbers in a place, that means the ecosystem, everything works there. All the constituents of the ecosystem and the food web, they're all in healthy condition. And that includes us also. So a healthy bird life indicates healthy environment and healthy human life. On the contrary, if you find that in a place the bird population is very less, that is actually a signal of a doom or a danger. So that cause needs to be understood, analyzed. So famous people have said that birds can survive without humans. However, humans cannot survive without birds. So that's the reality. So as a final concluding remark, I would say that be a bird lover, you will love nature and care for the planet. So let us all take to birding and help in conserving the ecosystem. Thank you very much for participating in this program. We shall remain open for questions.
Participants, anybody have a question, please raise your hand. I will unmute you.
ஹலோ சார்.
Yep.
சார், இப்ப நாங்க பேர்ட்ஸ் ப்ரொடெக்ட் பண்ணணும் அப்படின்னா வாட் ஆர் தி ஸ்டெப்ஸ் டேக்கன் டு பி டேக்கன்?
Okay, it's a நல்ல கேள்வி, but I will also answer in a very simple way. There is nothing specific we need to do. I mean, as long as we don't encroach into their habitat, we plant more trees and we remain bird friendly, that's more than enough. Because there is no repair that needs to be done by us. As long as we don't do damage, nature will repair itself. Okay, birds are so versatile that if you leave the habitat free for them, they will come and colonize and thrive very well. That's a simple message I would give. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any other question?
Sir, I am Deep Lakshmi. என்னோட டவுட் என்னன்னா, ஒரு பெட் பேர்ட்ஸ் எவ்வளவு டெம்பரேச்சருக்குள்ள வச்சிருக்கணும் சார்?
Birds can live with our own temperature. I mean, whatever temperature we operate with, that is good enough for them. In the sense, what I'm saying is that they have excellent insulation themselves. They have it. So you need not have to provide them with any kind of warmth or fanning or something like that. That's what I'm trying to say.
இன்னொரு டவுட் சார். சில பேர்ட்ஸ் ஃபுட் ஹேபிட்ஸ்
வாய்ஸ் கொஞ்சம் கிராக் ஆகுது, சொல்லுங்க.
இல்ல சார், இப்போ பேரட் வெரைட்டிஸ், ஆப்பிரிக்கன் பேரட்ஸ் அந்த மாதிரி பாத்தீங்கன்னா ஆம்னிவோரஸ் டைப் தான் அவங்க அதெல்லாமே. சோ இப்போ ஒரே ஃபுட் ஹேபிட்ல இருந்து நம்ம சேஞ்ச் பண்றதுக்கு என்ன சார் பண்ணணும்?
Okay. You are talking about the food habits and how we manage them at home as a pet lover, correct? As a pet lover, correct? Is my understanding correct?
Sir,
okay, parrots, they are not omnivorous. They eat fruits, nuts, and seeds. So when you say if you want to change me, what do you want to change that? Sorry, I lost that person. So.
Sir, another question from chat. Could you please highlight on flightless birds?
Okay, flightless birds. Right, there are ratites. Okay, when I say ratites, they were birds which have lost their ability to fly completely.
Hello.
Can I finish this answer?
Sure.
So these are birds which have completely lost their ability to fly. For example, the ostriches, the emus, the rheas, the cassowaries, and the kiwis that we see. There are no ratites in India. Okay, we had a few years back the emu farms. These emus were imported from Australia. However, they are not native to us. There are other kinds of birds which do not fly. For example, your domestic chicken and domestic ducks, they do not fly. It is not that they are not capable of flying. They were flying birds, but over many years, thousands of years of domestication, they have forgotten to fly. And there is a last one category of bird, which is the penguin, which is actually, it is gifted to fly, but not in the air, but inside the water. If you see the penguin's anatomy, the entire body design will be similar to that of a flying bird. However, its wings are modified like a paddle, so it helps it to fly inside the water.
So I want to know about the birds in schedule.
In
Scheduled animals, birds.
Oh,
Two, three.
I mean, yeah, there are different schedules under Wildlife Protection Act. I don't know the details of it, but there is one, thumb rule. All animals that are wild, they are protected under Wildlife Protection Act. What varies in the different schedules is the extent of punishment. In some, probably there will be fine and imprisonment. For which there is for some of them there will be long imprisonment. So it is criminal to disturb wildlife and birds included.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
என்னோட கொஸ்டின் சார்
சொல்லுங்க. சொல்லுங்க.
நார்மலா ஒரு சிக்கன்ஸ் வந்து அந்த நெஸ்ட்ல இருந்து வெளியில வர்றதுக்கு எவ்வளவு டைம் எடுத்துக்கும் சார்?
சிக்கன் சொன்னீங்க. ஓகே, பறவைகளை வந்து we can classify into two groups. The one group is known as altricial bird. They produce chicks called nidicolous chicks. These chicks, they do not have any feathers or their eyes are closed and they need parental attention. However, there is an echo happening. Anyway, however, there are categories of birds which are known as precocial birds. Those are chicken and ducks and other birds. And these chicks, when they hatch from the eggs, they are ready to move with their parents immediately. So their incubation period is also longer, like a minimum of about 21 days for domestic chicks too. The best of the birds we can say is a megapod. They take about 65 days. When the megapod chicks comes out, it is on its own. It doesn't see the parents. It can go and forage for itself. It can even fly from the first day itself. Hello? Hello?
Sir, my question, that is, as you said, that is scenariist. It is a bird which is controlling the grasshopper and all. Why can't we use it for this locust control?
It's an interesting topic, actually. Okay. I kind of, though the voice was cracking, I understood the essence of what you're saying. The current topic is locust. Okay. See, normally in a pest control, if you allow a solitary locust to increase in numbers, and eventually there is a shortage of food, these solitary locusts will go to a place where limited food supply is available. When they all get together in that area, there is a behavioral change, morphological and physiological change they undergo. Normally these grasshoppers, they don't like to mingle with each other. But when the situations force them to do so, they become locusts. So their behavior changes, they become groups and they start invading. So when we are talking about locust invasion, the numbers are in millions. So the number of birds that we have, they won't be enough to control them biologically. So it is like, sometimes when you give food to people, as much as they need, if you give, it is enough. But if you keep pouring food after food after food, it will go waste and it won't be used properly. That is the situation we will end up with. In many countries, people eat locusts. But how much they will eat when they come in millions? That's how the control becomes a challenge. So tits, of course, they do. There are many birds which are locust hunters, especially these raptors which come here on migration. Harriers, they are known as. Montagu harrier is a specialist on locusts. Amur falcon is a specialist on locusts. But the numbers which we are talking about as a swarm is so high that these birds won't be able to do justice and control them. That's what I'm trying to say. However, there are instances where seagulls and rosy starlings have helped control locust population in certain select areas. But it is not a totally successful thing.
Thank you, sir. And my second question is, like as we say that pollution and other anthropological activities will affect the
Yeah.
nature, particularly even the birds too. Like during
Yeah.
this lockdown, have you come across any such kind of increase in number of the birds, or any new existence of bird have occurred?
I did not do a scientific study per se, but the lockdown period has enabled me to watch them more. Okay, because there is nothing else to do, so you sit and watch the bird behavior. Because of decrease in the human activity, there seems to be an increase in the activity levels. Okay, but it is a scientific study, and one needs to have statistics to talk about it. So right now, it is a gut feel. I am saying that because the air quality has improved for sure. There is no burning of fossil fuel. There is no greenhouse gas which is being released. Even us as human beings, I think we are breathing better air. So the quality of life is definitely better, and probably the offsprings which they raise during this season, they will be better equipped. Is my feeling, but it is a scientific talk, so I don't want to, give information which is not science based. So I'm sure there is an increased activity, but it needs to be substantiated by statistical observations.
Thank you, sir. Another question is, as we say that sparrows, they are decreasing in their number. Why can't the government can take some kind of action towards it, or if there is any such kind of activity, could you please explain?
Yeah, it's a very sensitive topic because there are different kinds of groups. Some people talk that sparrows have to be brought back, and some people talk about why should be. Okay, I will give a neutral answer. Okay, sparrows have not declined overall. Sparrows have moved away from the cities for various reasons. Okay, sparrow habitats are not there. I mean, the way they used to move inside the houses and build their nests, such a facility is not available today. And the cities are also getting cleaner day by day. And good old days, in my childhood days, and I have seen that when you buy grains, you need to clean the grains because the quality of grains were not so great that time. So we used to throw some grains outside. Sparrows used to be there, and we used and traditionally the grains were also transmitted through gunny bags. And for gunny bags, they used to use hooks. So some amount of spillage of grains used to happen. So sparrows were feeding on. And within the city precincts, we used to have agriculture also. Now agriculture, if you want to see, you have to move away from the cities to see that. So the grain availability for sparrows is less. So that's why they have moved away from the cities. They are still found in large numbers in many places. Just you go in, even in the Tirunelveli city where I live, if I travel about 5-6 kilometers out of where I live, I see sparrows. So their numbers are not in any alarming proportion, just like the way the vultures are. Now, there is a price you pay for being clean. For example, vultures need dead carcasses being thrown in open spaces. In a modern society like what we live, will we ever do? You can't do that. So you will obviously throw the carcasses outside of the city limits. So today, I spoke about vultures being seen within the Calcutta city and Bombay city. Now, if you have to bring those vultures back into those cities, you need to throw carcasses outside, within the city itself. Will we do that? So these are the challenges and questions that we have to ask. However, any bird population which is declining, that means we are affecting somewhere else. The pressure that it is going to create may not be immediately known to us. Eventually, if anybody is removed from the ecological equation, the equation is going to go out of balance. To that extent, yes, we need to be conscious of a declining population of any living organism. birds also included. But sparrows per se, if I have to give a conclusion, there is no threat. There is no immediate government action that is needed to bring sparrows back into the city, because if you bring them back into the city, we are not used to handling them. There are downsides to it also. So they are living happily wherever they are, is the kind of school of thought which I have.
Thank you, sir. And one more question I have. Like in case of animals, we do hybridization techniques and all to bring some kind of superior variety and all.
Sorry. When the last part it got mumbled.
In animals, we do hybridization technique to bring some superior quality or superior variety and all those.
Yeah.
Similarly, we do the same in case of birds also.
Why should we play with nature? Because the nature itself has got a process called natural selection. So it allows birds and all other organisms to adapt, evolve, and develop on its own. So come back to the hybridization or genetically improved varieties of cattle or poultry that we have. That has its own downsides. So from hybridization, you get better variety of chicks and ducks. When you go and do some genetic modification, genetically modified, there is a huge debate going on that as well. I mean, it's a very scientific debate. I am not competent to talk about it, but why should we play that with the wild animals is my question. We may end up creating something which can be a monster also. Say, for example, today we are talking about the coronavirus. Okay, we don't know whether it is something which came just out of nature or it was something which was processed in the laboratory. I'm not making any judgment per se. So as humans, when we try to interfere in the natural selection and we try to do an artificial selection process, the consequences can be very, very disastrous, is my view.
Thank you, sir. And one more question I have. Could you please highlight about parthenogenetic birds? That is birds.
There are no parthenogenetic birds.
Okay, sir.
Sir,
Parthenogenesis
sorry for
there in
interruption,
birds.
sir.
Yep.
Sir, more the participants is waiting for the queries, sir.
Yeah, please.
Okay, sir. Ranjana, ma'am. Ma'am, Ranjana, ma'am. Ma'am, Ranjana, ma'am. Sir, Asamadullah, sir. Asamadullah, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You can carry on now, sir.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Is there any queries? Dear participants? Dear participants? Can everyone audible? Sir, Sandru sir, it's been audible for you, sir?
Yeah, I can hear clearly. Yeah.
Okay. Ranjana, ma'am? So some of the participants not able to come in, sir. They are not.
Okay.
Still, they are muted themselves.
Okay. So I will have wait for some time.
Okay.
That's not a problem.
Sir, you can have some general talk on birds, sir, which is not covered in the presentation.
So if there are any specific questions, I would like to answer. Probably Vishnu, if you have any question, you can shoot. Probably I can use that as a opportunity to talk on some subject.
Vishnu having some queries, sir.
Yeah, please. Just a second, huh? Just tell Deepak.
So, what are the conservation measures taken for birds? like Project Tiger, Project Rhino, right?
Yeah. Okay. Okay, there are many conservation measures are taken. Many are activities, I would say. There is a bird survey which everybody does. The wetland bird survey is done every year. These are all coordinated centrally at a global level, and there are bird surveys that are done. Why these are done is to assess the extent of bird population, the trend, whether there's an increase or decrease, if there is any change, why is the change. There is some analytical methods which are used. And there is a convention which is known as the Ramsar Convention, which happened in Iran, where at a global level all the countries have agreed to conserve their wetlands. Because these wetlands that we find in various places, they don't belong. I mean, the birds that come, they don't belong to just one country. So if the bird migrating in India, we destroy all the wetlands, means they will perish when they come to India. So it is an impact on the global population of the birds. So each country gives certain attention to these kind of things, and they are trying to preserve. Apart from that, there are bird areas and sanctuaries which are maintained, and there are a lot of education, bird education, that is happening today. That is more important than other kinds of just tree planting and stuff like that. They are also needed, but we need to get more minds connected with birds and eventually become conservation champions. No, okay. One side I have said all this, but there is a development that is also happening today. No development comes without any impact on the environment. We all know that. There is also a term which is called sustainable development. That is, you do a development without impacting, or even if there is an impact, you compensate that impact by doing more afforestation or planting trees and stuff like that. But there is always a fight. Any development plan project which comes, there is a group which says that no, it is not environment friendly. There is a group that says that if you don't do this, then the economy is going to suffer. This debate continuously keeps going. Eventually, what is needed is all of us at our own individual levels appreciate that the nature needs to be conserved and do our bit. For example, plastic usage. These are all left to us. We don't need any governmental regulations to do that. There are birds which ingest plastic and they perish. So we can start from our own home, from our own self. That let us not leave any carbon footprint. Let us not leave any plastics in the atmosphere. Let us try to be conscious of fresh air. Let us be conscious about the other living organisms around us. These are the things that we can do. So conservation is a collective effort, is what the final bottom line message is. It is not just one government making rules and regulations. It is a collective participation of all of us, is the message.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
And endemic bird.
Yeah.
So in Tamil Nadu, what are the endemic birds are available?
Tamil Nadu, this question has come before. See, endemic means restricted to one geography. Okay, this particular bird is not found anywhere else. Okay, there are many endemic birds in India, and especially Western Ghats species. Western Ghats, we have it in Tamil Nadu also, we have it in Kerala also, we have it in other states as well. So a bird which is endemic in Western Ghats is part of us also. So there is no specific bird which we can say that this is endemic to Tamil Nadu alone. I am not aware. Okay, they may be found elsewhere. The endemic birds have a slight danger. If that particular geography is in turmoil, the endemic bird will perish because it cannot live anywhere else. To that extent, endemic birds are very, very sensitive. So, a survey of endemic birds and documenting their numbers is also one of the activities which birders undertake.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Rajesh, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
So anyone else? Sir, I think it's a time for conclusion, sir.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the participants.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for your valuable speech, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Chandra, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Dear participants, you will receive a feedback form, my mail, and I have put it in the chat box, and also you will receive it, your WhatsApp group also. Okay, thank you, thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I am signing off. God bless. Cheers.